Afternoon all. A few days ago on Facebook I noticed Jack Rudd had commented about loving the smell of freshly crushed Grandmaster, and it got my curiosity going. What was the game like? You know, I didn't see the game at all. You know, was it an E4, was it a D4? You know, what tournament was it? And stuff like that. And I didn't immediately investigate it, but the thought occurred to me to check it out today, and it was in the E2 E4 Sunningdale International Master Tournament. So E2 E4 are doing quite a few FIDE tournaments in the UK, which maybe I should participate in pretty soon. So this was the International Masters A section, the top section, and he was up against Elizbar Ubilava 2533 GM, and Jack Rudd's FIDE here is listed as 2278. So he's an international master, a bit low rated at the moment, but this win certainly wouldn't have harmed his FIDE rating. So let's have a look at it. Many of his games are often entertaining and very attacking style to them. So E4, C5, and Jack he's not afraid to go into the mainline Sicilian, none of this sideline stuff. And I'm thinking myself, I'm going to have to drop this Nc3 Nf4 business from Bullet. I think it's just bad habit. I think going into the main line, you're really trying to fight for the centre when you play knight f3 in the early d4. Okay, and there's millions of lines black can do after, but you know, if you want to hack and slay an opponent and a grandmaster, this is in style. This game is really stylish. Okay, as it unfolds. So c takes, knight takes. So black just attacks the pawn, white defends. And now I think this is the old classical method of just developing the other knight to c6. So what does Jack do? Well, he plays it a bit 70s style, you know, Fischer sews in kind of style, with bishop c4. So none of this English, you know, system attack, but bishop c4 has a few points to it which are kind of interesting actually. That if black's going to sort of create blockage for the bishop on the diagonal, then can white, you know, undermine this e6 pawn later, and what would be the consequences of that? And can white still go for a kind of hack and slay attack with this system, castling queenside, or are we, you know, looking at casting kingside usually in this system with bishop c4? So there's a few questions here. After e6, in fact, white shows he's prepared not just to castle kingside, but optionally, you know, maybe queenside now with bishop e3, making way for the queen to move somewhere and then casting queenside. So very exciting position. And black waits. He's not too keen to try and castle kingside. He waits with this waiting move a6, which is, you know, very useful in its own right, of course, for later, you know, maybe taking on d4 and then the classic b5 and bishop b7 and pressure on e4. Okay, so the move chosen for the queen, actually not casting kingside, the move chosen for the queen is actually e2. Now this has some clear advantage over d2 in that knight g4 is of course ruled out. The queen is attacking g4, so that's one advantage I think of queen e2. Okay, so queen c7 from black. The other advantage is now shown that the queen's also protecting c4. So knight takes d4 is not an immediate winning threat. So white doesn't have to retreat the bishop from c4 at the moment. Actually, Jack just castles queen side. And now black plays very aggressively, doesn't bother developing this bishop, just goes all in for the attack with this move, it seems, with knight a5. Knight a5. The bishop doesn't retreat though to b3. This is another interesting decision, and it's maybe a little bit counterintuitive in that respect. But on the other hand, bishop d3, where it went to instead of b3, does protect e4. So b5, b4, you know, bishop b7. White might not have to waste time, you know, protecting e4 as much. And in fact, now after b5, just in case b4 is going to dislodge this knight, a3 is played. I think Fisher in 60 Memorable Games said in one particular game that A3 was kind of essential, but I think one's got to be quite wary about playing it sometimes. It does lose time a bit. If there's better things to do, then it's all time related. It's critical. So bishop e7 from black now, not actually bishop b7, not yet intensifying pressure on e4. And now we see f4 from jack. And now rook b8, as though black is not going to castle kingside. He's going to carry on his attack a little bit, maybe with b4. Looks a bit menacing. But white's not too scared about this. White now unleashes this aggressive looking move, g4. g4. So it's really got this is a really violent scenario now we have in this position. If we have a look at it, is black really going to castle into this pawn storm, with g5, ready to smash the black fortress to bits? No, he actually delays again, knight c4, and now after g5 the knight swings to d7, which may be useful for knight c5 or knight b6. After rook he1, actually it's here with this rook move that black becomes a bit confident about castling on the king side. And you might think it's going to take time actually to blast through to the black king. But there's actually a little tactical vulnerability here. This queen and bishop positioning is asking for a knight fork. So how would you arrange a knight fork? Well, Jack finds an ingenious move here, which is this one, knight f5. So knight f5, offering a knight to get this knight fork. But actually, the queen is protecting the bishop, so we're talking a whole knight sack. So that's not really the main point. The point was to drive back these attacking resources. So these guys are left, without the queen as the kind of centre forward. Where's the attack on white's queen side? And white, on the other hand, has got the centre forward ready to come in, the queen coming in with the infantry here, ready to support it, and the knight ready to support it. So e takes f5, very exciting compensation for the knight. Tells or Nesmetov would be proud, I think, with this knight sack. But surely you might ask, hold on a sec, hold on. The knight can be dislodged from d5. Bishop b7, dislodge that knight. And now we get another beautiful idea. So just taking on c4 gives white time now for this nice next move, where the knight can actually take on e7 very comfortably, distracting another piece at the same time away from black's kingside. Bishop b6. So this knight's been distracted away from defensive duties. After knight e7, look at black's king. It's ready for the slaughter, it seems. Queen h5, the centre forward coming in, the queen. Look at black's attack by comparison. White's king is not really worried by anything here. Black has to deal with numerous threats. Tries to deal with it with knight d5, offering like a piece back. But Jack is not too tempted by taking on d5 here. Instead, he's going for the king. He's going for the kill. He plays f6. And apparently, I think it's here that I think an engine was saying almost this is equal with g6 technically. There's a technical reason for that, but this next option gives white a huge advantage. So I think g6 technically should have been played here with some sharp stuff ensuing after that. But instead, g takes f6. And now the knight on e7 is made use of with this next move, g6, ripping through the black king position. So immediately threatening mate. So fg, and now knight takes g6. And then this beautiful move, rook g1, keeping a lot of threats on. Queen b6. If black's given time, maybe there's going to be an attack on b2, but black's not going to be given time. It's all running with check now from this position. Knight takes f8, check, 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 encouraging f5. And now this is really nifty. Check, check, And now Queen E6 check, and black resigns. Now the idea of Queen E6 is not the routine like Rook G1 in this position. If we carried through here, if black didn't resign, if we played here, I don't think this is good. This would be rudely responded to with Queen E3 check, and that would be really annoying. No, I think much easier here is just carrying on, getting the lawnmower effect, check, taking that pawn, and then check. It doesn't matter if black sacks the queen, and then, you know, a mating thing would ensue on the H file. So black's king's really torn apart in this game. So that was a really nice open Sicilian, which is kind of inspiring. You know, if you've been playing these sidelines, you know, sometimes having the guts to play, you know, the open variation of the Sicilian, even against the grandmaster opponent, who's like, in this case, almost 300 FIDE points higher. So the classical system. So Fischer style, bishop c4, and very delicate, you know, moves. Queen e2 keeps eye on g4 and on c4, and now another delicate one coming up. Bishop d3, not bishop b3, which might be a tempting option. And now a carefully considered move to prevent b4, a3, and now f4 with the idea of g4. Very aggressive stuff. Not really worrying actually about b4 too much. So this aggression with the pawns is not really to smash directly with like g6 or anything. It's to do with this knight f5. The pawn mass is still going to be there, collecting, accumulating on the king side, but it's piece driven now. The attack, the pawns support a breakthrough with pieces. After this bishop b6, the knight comes to e7, and now this g6 and f6 are really like dangerous threats. So black went wrong, which is easy to do in this kind of position. Let's see actually this remarkable defense, which the engine seems to think is equal. It's hard to believe in this position, but let's have a look. So g6, queen h6. Why is it giving us equal? Is there nothing for white to try and get an attack? Maybe rook d5. Oh, rook d5. No, it's still strong. Still strong. Still advantage for white here. But surely something like rook e3 you'd think is threatening queen h7. If we give rook e3 a go, I cannot believe it that black's better with bishop g2. That is a real computer defense. And why can't the thing be evicted? Because queen b6, and now there'd be lots of trouble. Oh blimey, on b2 and stuff. So that's how computers defend. That's horrible counterplay now, where black's clearly better. So the grandmaster obviously missed this cunning idea that after g6 he could play rook g8, and you know, even though rook e3 is ruled out, even if rook d5, rook e3, there's bishop g2. So that was probably missed by the GM. This very technical defense, bishop g2, missed by both players, I expect. Bishop g2. Oh blimey, the resources are amazing, aren't they, in chess? Really. Queen h5. So anyway, black. You know, here's the critical moment after f6. So g6 wasn't played, but g takes f, and we just have the black king being torn apart. All these files being ripped open. So this is a really instructive win in the open Sicilian, I think, from Jack against the much higher rated grandmaster. So after check, you know, the grandmaster actually resigned. He saw his king was going to be mown down. Hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Comments or questions on YouTube, and I might leave this on Jack's Facebook page as a little present today. Thanks very much.